Hello, John. Long time no see.
And how are you?
Yes, good, good.
I'm running everything today. I appreciate everybody's patience with me running a little bit behind. And that is not Arne. That's Arne. Somebody, don't take this wrong, but somebody with a lot more hair than Arne is in Arne's place. And you're both muted, so neither one of you can say anything.
I'm gonna fix that. Just give me a second. I'm Susan, by the way.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
I apologize that we're a couple minutes late getting started. Denny's on a plane, and unbeknownst to me, his password changed to a Zoom account. So I've been sitting here, what in the world's going on? Realized, oh, they changed the password, and I'm always the last one to know. So
His password was an I love John.
I tried that 3 times. It didn't work. So,
Capital I.
all right.
It's because
what did I miss this morning? Who was on the call this morning? What did I miss?
I missed it.
I was on this morning, but Denny was a little bit, I think, disheveled because he was at the airport. He was people going by him, and he was trying to run the meeting, and it was a little chaotic, but it was good.
Sometimes that happens, and my issue, I was at a doctor's appointment. I apologize for that. And you know what? Unfortunately, that's about the only person in my life that I have not been able to control their schedule. So anyway, yes, we have 3 Sherrys on the call today. Thanks, Louise. So by the way, if you look down at the screen and you see your name is Sherry and it's not, little pro tip, if you go to the top right of your own personal box, there will be 3 dots. Click on those 3 dots and click the rename. Susan has already done it because we knew it wasn't our name. Now, the 3 Sherrys
John,
also...
the team, can I invite my team to join as well?
Of course. And we don't even, we know that one of the 3 Sherrys might be James, because I'm pretty sure we recognize the voice. However, they're all in dark rooms, so we're not 100% certain what we're dealing with here, and that's okay. Sandra Marconi, how are things in Houston?
Busy.
Busy's good. A lot. Look at that. It was James, or at least one of the Sherrys became James.
I got to see how I became a Sherry. I didn't realize. Wow. It was Sherry Day.
Well, it's because the way the link is set up.
I'll fix it right now.
Everyone comes in as Sherry. So, all right.
Who is Sherry?
Sherry is Denny's VA.
Oh.
So if you don't register and you just click on the link to join, it's actually her link. And here comes Arne again. This is like the Arne fan club today.
Every day is the Arne fan club.
Touche. That was good. It took you a little longer than I was expecting that answer, a little quicker than that. You got to work on the delivery, but that's okay.
I couldn't hit unmute fast enough. Oh, it's Mark.
All right. Yeah, now that actually, you know what? That Arne actually has a little less hair than the OG.
Change my name.
There you go. Perfect. All right, guys. Now that we've had some fun, what is everyone running into? Let's do.
So I've got one.
Good.
So it's
and
rare.
The way you jumped in there, I know it's not interest rates. Let's hear it.
No, it's not. So I'm going to meet with a client, potential client, here in about another 2:45 my time, and they are listed with an agent that literally lives down the street from me.
Awesome.
And they've been on the market for 28 days, have 3 showings. They are definitely overpriced. They're at 174 square foot. They should be about 154. They've put in about $40,000 worth of upgrades to the home. All the agent said was new roof and something else, new stove or something like that. So they're willing to meet, they reached out to me, so I'm not interfering, but it's just like, ooh, I don't think in 21 years that I've ever gone into one that's already listed before. So
that's okay. So far there isn't an objection. It's more of an uncomfortable feeling.
I've got I'll get over that. I just don't want to go. I don't want to go in and blast. Sorry, it's my daughter-in-law calling. I don't want to go in and blast anybody else. He's done business with this company for a couple of transactions, but I also want to go in and, you know, they forked in $40,000 and they need to get it sold, and the market's a little wonky right now. So
let's start with this. Is that okay? That's the real Arne who's wheezing. I love it. Okay, so they put $40,000 into the house. What did they do?
That's a good question. I know they put a new roof. I don't know where my notes are. I think they did new flooring. I don't have the ins and outs of it all.
So the silly questions that I'm going to ask is, when you buy a house, Sandra, do you expect it to have a dry roof?
Everybody's got to have a roof. Everybody's got to have.
You expect it to have floors. You expect it to have a stove. So
right.
Yes, they add some value. It is nowhere near dollar for dollar.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
I mean,
you might be 10, 20 cents on the dollar just for a little peace of mind that you may not have a roof leak, because guess what? Houston succumbs to the same things we do in Southwest Florida, which are, you know, Satan's redheaded stepchildren called hurricanes. And a roof in your neck of the woods is as good as a roof in mine. It could last a year, it could last 30.
Right.
So it's
I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about them putting in the 40,000. I'm more concerned about how do I help them, because they've only been on the market 28 days.
Okay.
So they're not feeling too much pain, but they're saying, why are we not selling? You know, and I just did a real quick CMA yesterday, and I could tell, well, you're overpriced.
So what's the first thing you want to know when you get there? Clear your head of any assumptions. What's the first thing you want to know?
When do they need to sell by?
Well, I already know
that's
that.
helpful.
I mean, they've already moved out. They're living elsewhere now, so they just want to get it sold. They don't want to give it away, but they want to get it sold in a timely manner, and they're just not having the showings.
Why do you want to move?
I'd want to know why are they unhappy with? Why are they unhappy with the current agent? What does they think he's doing?
The amount of non-showings.
I honestly, guys, I'd be a little more direct with it. Sandra, tell me, why am I here?
We need to get our house sold.
Awesome. When?
As soon as possible, but at the rate it's going, it doesn't look like that's going to happen very fast.
Define as soon as possible.
That's what I don't know. Before the end of the year.
Okay, so 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why I'm here in relation to your existing agent.
This is what I know so far. We don't feel like that they are marketing our home in the manner that it should be. They've not held an open house. There's nothing stating the upgrades that we have done to the home. And you know, what little feedback we're getting is that, you know, it's too high, it's priced right. So we just don't really know. We don't really know if we are priced for the market.
Okay. So I don't want to see your contract, but have you looked at your contract to see if you have any way to be able to work with me moving forward?
Yes, we have. And no, there's no problem.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that's true or not. He could, you know, it's Texas. We can do whatever we want to do. But
Typically, they're going to say, no, there's no problem, but they have no idea if the broker is actually going to let them out of the contract. It's nothing to do with the agent, right? It's always
Correct.
the broker who makes that decision. So, you know, so Sandra, the first thing you need to figure out is if you're going to stay with this agent or if you're going to make a change. Number 2 is, if you decide to make a change, can you make a change?
okay.
Because the broker may say, you know, we'll change agents for you, but you're going to stay in our office.
True. And what if the broker doesn't, you know, what if the broker says we have to stay in their office and we don't want to?
Well, at that point, You can disallow showings.
Then that takes us
That
off the
doesn't help
market
you, though.
too.
That doesn't
Mhm.
help you, does it?
Correct.
Now I'm gonna pause this just for a
Is
second.
28 days,
I am not one who's going to pave the way to destroy somebody else's contract. That's their job.
Right. Right.
I'm not going to say, well, here's the tips on how to break that. I won't
Yeah,
do
no, I
that.
wouldn't do that.
It will be, have you done your homework? And if you have, what's the results? And if you haven't, you need to do this before we can go further.
Right.
Now, Sandra, I know you've been in the industry in Houston for more than it takes us to cook a piece of toast. You're very
Really?
experienced, all right. And I was trying to say it nicely without actually saying how long you have been in the business for. All right.
Big
By the
fell.
way, half of her
Big
gray
fell.
hairs I may have given her.
It's not gray, it's white. You suck.
Oh, I'm getting better then. I'm going from gray to white. Sweet. So
Platinum's in, John. Get with it.
listen, I'm with
Just
Mark.
move on. Just move on. Move on.
Fair enough. Okay, so I would be inclined in this situation to have a very short meeting, face to face, look at the house, and not give my opinion on anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Why
know
is
they're
that
gonna ask. They're gonna ask for it, though. You know that.
Of course they are. And say,
Because,
you know what?
and the flip side to that is there are 72 sold. You know, so they're going to want to know what, you know, how we're different, you know, and so they've already been on the market. So it's not like a surprise, here we are kind of thing, you know. So now it's kind of like we've got to backpedal.
I would answer any of those questions like this. You are currently under contract with another broker, and I will not and cannot say anything that could potentially violate that.
True.
Which includes me giving any opinion of value or marketing. Because that's just hot water that's getting hotter. It's on a big flame and it's going to boil. So
how, I mean, it is such a slippery slope because it's like, how do we get them to want to make the changeover from the balloon company to us?
So they've already made that decision. That's why they called you. However, they haven't acted on it. So
okay.
Go ahead, Arne.
The way that I was taught when this has happened in the past is I called them and told them, I said, hey, listen, I talked to my broker, and while you're currently under contract with or signed with another agent, I cannot have any further conversations with you. When that contract is done, then we can talk and you can give me a call.
That is
a very good way of doing that.
But in Texas, because of the fact that they did reach out to me, I'm not interfering. So I'm not interfering with what their other agent right now. They've approached me. I didn't approach them. They approached me.
Yep. And according to the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, there's absolutely zero issue with you going in and having the conversation. It gets gray when you start talking about your marketing plan, your pricing strategy, and the inference can be made that you're comparing yours to what's currently being done. So that's why I said, when you're in this situation, don't offer any advice about what's happening. Why am I here?
So you wouldn't even take a listing presentation? Would you even take comp?
No. Listen, at this point, my listing presentation is 1 page. One of 3 things is going to happen. That's my listing presentation, guys. God's honest truth. When I started working with Denny 3 years ago, I got rid of all the fancy books. I go in with a couple comparables, and one of 3 things is going to happen because it doesn't get any easier than that.
Yeah.
And now I can condense my listing presentation down to 3 minutes out of the 45 that I'm there, and then build up a relationship the rest of the time. So
okay,
it works for me. It's not for everybody. It does work for me. Now, I'm not talking about any marketing strategies, any pricing strategies. I'm not giving any input on anything they've done, because it will come back and take a chunk out of your butt.
Mhm.
Maybe not the first time, but eventually it will happen.
I'll catch up.
And guess what? Every single seller that you're meeting with will appreciate you holding that line. They may not like it in the moment. They will respect the fact that you are honoring somebody else's agreement with them. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Tanner, hands up. What do you got?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, John, I have an appointment today at 5 p.m. So it's an expired lady. And here's the thing. She was so adamant about finding out the value of the home, but did not give me anything about motivation why she wanted to sell. So I'm going to go basically based on what she asked me for with the value of the home conversation, which I also found out that she just purchased the home 2 years ago. Then she tried to relist it again for $100,000 over what she bought it for. So once, when you meet, I love that question, why am I here? Would you really first start with basically giving her the value of the home and then go into the motivation and everything
I'm
else?
never giving them the value of the home. Ever. Ever. Doesn't matter if it's 200,000 or 7 million. Any other questions on that one, Tanner? It's a simple conversation. Okay, it's a simple conversation. So I get it. This is you feel your home is worth this. Awesome. If we can agree to list it at this, can we do business today? Yes. Fist bump. Now let's get on the same side of the table and let's look at strategy. One of three things is going to happen. So now, Mrs. Seller, when you do sell the home, I know you've already bought another place. You have a place to live. When you do sell the home, what are you going to do?
I don't have any information on motivation. So,
well, what are you going to do? I just learned of a closing where the seller, instead of having all of the funds sent to them, they took a portion of it and they split the balance between their kids. His comment was, what am I going to do with it? Now, that was the comment, kind of nonchalant. However, the plan the entire time was to take care of his kids. Get to motivation. Price is not motivation.
I feel like there has to be something. She just bought it 2 years ago and now she wants to resell it right after. And she was, she expired because they listed it.
Wait, so I got it. James, you said it twice the same way. James picked up on it the first time. I got to put, did she expire or did the house expire?
The house expired.
Okay.
Thank you, James.
So, motivation is the only thing that's going to cause them to act. Now, does money play a part in it? Sure. She bought a house for $200,000 2 years ago and it's worth $2 million today because she found some awesome natural resource underneath it that no one else has, including the Bat Cave, because I'm pretty sure that wasn't too far from Nassau County. So yes, you find something in the property that has value to somebody else and not them. Sure, you sell it because of the money. 99.99% of people selling homes is not because they struck gold. It's because they have a motive to sell it. Now, let's take this even deeper. Motivation is one thing, right? Commitment is deeper. Commitment shows up when motivation doesn't. Write that one down. Commitment shows up when motivation doesn't. And a little bit of self-depredation here. If you look at my belly, you'll know I'm motivated to lose weight. I'm not committed. Yes, Arne, you can laugh at that. So
I was only laughing because I was looking down at my own.
Commitment shows up in all things. In all things that are important. So you have to find her motivation. When you find the motivation, this is why you take them to the pleasure of motivation, then down to third base, RNA's favorite spot on the field, where you rip the Band-Aid off and you pull it away, create some pain. Without taking that pain, you are not going to move them from motivation to commitment. Does that make sense?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's the whole purpose of the process. Find motivation, take it away, get commitment. Because if you don't have commitment, you haven't found the motivation.
Sure.
All right.
Cool.
So what are you going to tell her the value of her house is today?
I won't give her a number.
There you go. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. You just show her.
Show
her
me the
deal.
comps. Show me the comps.
That's it. Show me the comps. All right, Cameron, aka Sherry, what do you got?
Am I Sherry Springfield? What am I?
No, you're Sherry Baracquio.
I don't know why it does that.
I do, but that's all right. What do we got today?
So I have a seller that I just met with today. Met with the husband and wife. They currently own a house. The comp, we looked at everything, and anyway, we're at the table. Well, we just think we want to. We just want to wait and see if we get this. We want to wait and see about how we can get arranged with base housing. But other than that, we're pretty ready to move forward.
Okay, so they're looking to sell this place and then get into base housing from there.
Correct.
Okay, so what happens if they don't get base housing?
What happens if they don't? They're assuming they don't foresee an issue with it. They just don't know how long it'll take.
My son-in-law was in the military. It's not an overnight process. Sometimes it takes 2 years.
Okay.
So if they sell their house now, where do they go in the interim?
Closer to the base.
Okay. Again, you want to get some of this stuff clarified with them. All right. Find out how long how long do you think it's going to take you to get base housing? They give you a time, they give you a window, 3 to 6 months.
They think maybe a month or two. Yeah.
Okay. What happens if it takes longer?
We're gonna call them next week and see about getting on the list.
Okay. So I'm going to be, are we talking Army or Air Force here?
Air Force.
Okay. So I'll be the guy that plays video games, and I can say that because my son-in-law was in the Air Force too. That's all the Air Force does is play video games, at least according to the Marines and the Army.
He's supposedly somewhat high ranking, so he thinks he will be able to get in sooner, but he's motivated, so they're getting on the list. They're ready to go.
And yes, if you are ranked, you will have a much better opportunity. So I will be the Air Force person.
Be the airman.
You, and you are going to have the conversation with me right now. All right.
So other than seeing what your opportunities are like with base housing, is there anything stopping us from moving forward with getting your house listed today, with us working together today?
No, we just we want to make sure we get base housing set up. Yeah, we've applied for it. We're on the list. We just want to make sure that we got it.
I dead ended there. I'm just stepping out for a second. I'm just inclined. I feel like they're very motivated and committed. I'm just like, okay, well, I'll talk to you in a week. I mean, but like,
why talk to them in a week? Don't you have an opportunity to get a contract signed? Why wait a week?
Yeah.
James, you're nodding your head. What would you do?
Well, I would
Why don't
ask
we
them,
call
are
them right
they
now?
looking,
Cameron,
are
hang
they
on a
looking to
second.
do a lease back on the house in case they are not able to get in the housing immediately when they think they can? That way we could cover them for a few months to give them more time to get the base housing lined up.
That's an option.
So let's
Yep.
go ahead and get it listed and get it on the market and see what we can do.
And if you find out next week that you're not going to get base housing for a year, we can tear the listing contract up.
Absolutely.
Don't leave without a signature. You got an opportunity for a signature. Ask yourself, what do I need to do to solve that? Never leave without the signature. What can happen in the next week, Cameron?
Another agent could knock on their
Kevin
door,
Dolan could show up on their doorstep. Kevin's a
steal
smooth
my
talker.
listing.
He's got a contract in hand. Says, you know what? Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get the listing paperwork done. Make it easy for you. I'll get all the prep work done. You call me in a week. Let me know if everything's going forward, and we'll be that far ahead of the game.
And I'll do it for 1% less.
So, well, no, you won't. We're not playing that game here.
Okay.
Yeah, you say that again on this call, Kevin, I'm going to kick you off.
So what if? Well, I mean,
just
I
want to
said to
add
them
some
like,
spice to it.
What's that, Cameron?
what did I say? I said,
Sorry,
I
Cameron.
said something to the effect of that if they wanted to go ahead and plan to work together, that as soon as they, figured out what they were doing with their base housing, we could, move forward accordingly, go ahead and have all the marketing and everything in order so that whenever they were ready to go live, it would be really easy to press play. So I think I hinted that direction, but I didn't sort of use the,
This is
carrot
a
up.
listing contract that was signed a month ago. It doesn't go live for another week. Don't leave without the signature.
All right.
Don't. Yes, you have the commitment from them. Get it signed. It takes any question marks out, and guess what? It allows you to take that spot that you were going to use to go get something signed that you already had to go get something else signed.
Yes.
All right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Who's next? Man, someone raise their hand or we're going to start having a rate discussion. All right, Jose.
So sorry, I came in a little later because I had a
That's
call.
all right.
Yeah, but I like to just come in for some role play. Like, I want to keep sharpening that blade. So when I'm speaking, so I don't know if there's a topic that you guys have in mind.
Do you have something that has been that you've been having a hard time getting past?
That's a great question. So I think right now, most of the sellers that I've encountered, they all have situations, right? They all need to do something in order to get the house on the market. Like, for instance, I have one guy right now who I recently found out he was married and has been married for a very long time, but they haven't been together. He bought the property when they separated.
Okay.
And he was advising me if he should sell it. He asked me, should I sell it now? And I said, well, we should probably talk to a divorce attorney first. The last thing I want you to do is sell this property and then have an issue on your hands. So
yeah, that's going to be a state by state issue. So let's not cover that particular one today, other than asking the question, does your ex legally have to sign off on this transaction?
yes, he didn't know that answer. So I've been asking, I was calling an attorney to find out.
Absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah.
All right.
But other than that, I would say then, I guess one of the things that I would like to ask about is I deal with a lot of investors.
Sure.
And some of the investors, I'll find them properties and they'll want to fix it and flip it. And sometimes I don't get the listing back. I guess one of my questions would be, how would I, circumvent that in a sense where, you have someone, you found them a property, you say, hey, the deal is if I find your property, list it with me. And then they say, like Kevin was saying, Mr. Joe Realtor says, I'll do it for 4%. And I'm
okay, let's play that. All right. You be the guy flipping the homes. All right.
Okay, great.
So Jose, I got you I found you this great deal. We went ahead and bought it. Awesome. Now it's time. You've done all the work. Let's get it back on the market and get it ready to go.
Fantastic. So, hey, John, I know you called me yesterday to see if I was ready with the property. Actually, it's all set, and honestly, I met with another agent that
Mhm.
came through a family member of mine, and they said that, you know, I had a great property. They think I can sell it for more than what you told me, and they were willing to do it for less percentage commission than you are. And I kind of wanted to come to you, and I know you found it for me, but I wanted to see if you would be willing to match their commission and sell it for the price that they told me I thought I could get.
All right, so I'm going to step out of role play for a second, Jose, because it was our first time working together.
Yeah.
Everyone else on this call knows that I'm never going to give them a price.
Okay.
I never, ever, ever give them a price. So
Okay.
that side of the conversation will never happen.
Got it.
Okay, because they name the price, we look at the data, we make an agreement, we move forward. Awesome. So Jose, I get it. You know what? And if I were in your shoes, I'd consider saving money too. So let me ask you this. The deal I brought you was 200,000. You put 50 into it, and it's going to sell between 375 and 400,000. So you're going to make about 110,000 net on this. Please help me understand why you don't see the value in using the person that brought you $110,000.
John, no, I appreciate you and thank you, and I understand what you're saying, but you know, I'm taking a certain level of risk when I bought this property, and I had to invest a lot of my own capital here.
Sure.
And I just feel like as a business person, I need to get the most out of it. And I just think that it makes sense for me to go with somebody that is willing to do it for less, because, I need to maximize my profits on this deal. So I'm paying for private money. I'm using some of my capital.
Jose, I understand all of that. So here's the thing. I work with people and we are in business together. Okay. Brought you this deal and you're going to make well over $100,000 on it. And if it's something that you don't appreciate, and that's okay, I will bring the deals to other people, because there are a lot of people, there are a lot of people that will honor the relationship. So if you want to go a different direction, that's okay. Lesson learned on my part.
Well, John, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I definitely want to continue to work with you, and I appreciate you sending these deals my way. You know what? Since we have this relationship, would you be willing to kind of meet me halfway and do a 5%? I mean, that's what most people do for investors nowadays.
Not my investors. My investors are happy with making a healthy return, and they are very happy to pay me for the value that I bring them, which is the opportunity to make $110,000 in 3 months.
Okay. All right, John.
And if you don't want to be one of those investors, I'll say, I'm okay with that. This needs to be a good relationship for both of us.
I understand. You know what? I mean, I'm willing to pay the 6%. I appreciate it, John, and I want to continue to work with you.
Not an easy conversation to have, is it, Jose?
It's not. It's really not, because, sometimes, and that's true. Because as I was thinking about it, it's, most of us, depending on the position that we're in, we might not necessarily always need the deal, but, when you invest a certain level of time and energy into a client, you're like, oh man, I want to see it through, and we might give in. But I like that, because you're kind of giving them, you're being polite about it, but you're really creating boundaries. Like, hey, all right, then, I hope you find another realtor that will find you deals like this,
Yeah.
But that's
I stopped short of saying your family member didn't bring you the deal, did they?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Believe me, I wanted to say it. You can't insult friends and family. You can't insult others in the business, period. All right. But you can be very firm about it. Said, what part of the $110,000 that you're making is worth risking over $4,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't be afraid to play hardball, guys, because guess what? You don't need the deal. You need your boundaries. Does that make sense?
Wow,
Awesome. Awesome. Mark Tilley, what do we got?
John, you mentioned twice in this webinar that you never put a price on it.
Yep.
I'd like you to be the agent visiting a for sale by owner that agreed to see you. The prices of your comps are a little bit less than I've been asking as a for sale by owner, and how you address that without putting a price on it, or how you get me to how do you get me to come to a price without you putting your DNA on it?
Sure. So Mark, here's the data in the area. Okay. In the business, we call them comps, comparables, comps for short. Tell me, how does your house compare to the ones here?
Well, there's a few differences, but these do look pretty comparable. Mine have an extra bedroom compared to this one. Mine's beautiful.
Okay. And okay, great. So when you look at the value of these that are either on the market or have sold recently, where would you put yours?
I would say this particular home right here looks most similar to mine.
Okay. And what's that price?
This one is, this one, so okay, you've got current, not sold with you.
No, I've got solds and current.
Okay. Well, this one's listed for 550,000.
Okay. And you notice right here where it says days on market.
Yeah.
Okay. That tells us how long the property has been available and nobody has purchased it. So when you look at that number, do you want your house sold sooner than that or later than that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty long time to be on the market. I'm thinking sooner than that.
Okay. So in order for it to sell sooner, you think you need to be priced higher or lower than this?
Common sense says lower.
Listen, I hate throwing rhetorical questions out there. This would be one of them. So if you're going to price it lower, where would you price it?
Well, if we're looking at my house being as comparable as this one, and that's 550. I don't know, John, you're the expert. What do you think?
Well, it does. I hate to say it this way, Mark. It doesn't matter what I think because I'm not the one buying your home. And unfortunately, as sellers, we don't set the price. The market sets the price. So we're not going to know until we go and expose it to the market. What we do know is a similar home to yours, priced at 550, has been on the market too long. So where would you be comfortable starting?
Well, I mean, honestly, I feel that you're the professional. So, I mean, I'd like your advice as to what you think it will most probably more than likely be able to sell at.
Well, I can tell you if we price it anywhere between $100 and $1 million, we're going to have activity. Where do you think we're going to have more activity?
100.
Yeah, and we'll probably have 37 offers in the first 5 minutes it goes to MLS. Now, do I recommend pricing it that low? No. You do need to be in the ballpark, though. Now, remember, this is your home. My job as a professional is to market and negotiate your property for you. Once we go to market, we're going to know real quickly whether we're priced correctly or not. Do you know how we know that?
We see how much activity the house gets.
Yeah. One of three things happens, right?
Yeah.
So where would you like to start?
Well, honestly, I think I'd like to start right at number 3, sold. So.
Okay. So what price should we start it at?
540.
Okay. So we agree to put it on the market at 540. You're ready to move forward today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sign here, press hard, 3 copies for those of us old enough to remember. So that's it.
Questions.
That's it. It's always questions. I didn't even have to get into motivation because it wasn't about motivation for you. You just needed to see through the filter of, I thought I wanted this, but I also know I can't get it. So I didn't even need to go to motivation for you to make that decision.
And then if I was more adamant that I wanted to sit at 560, 10 over, you would still take the listing, but you'd give me the 3 outcomes and.
Yep.
Okay.
Mark, if you had said you wanted to put it at 575, I would have said, great. If we can agree at 575, are you ready to move forward? Yes. Awesome. What happens if the market says no?
We know we're priced too high.
Okay, great. We're going to have that conversation every Monday at 4:00, and it's going to sound like this. Fishing sheet. That's it. And guys, it does work. It really does.
So the trick is to arrive with great comps, sold and currently competition, and allow them to see what is happening out there and come to their own conclusion. That's where legitimately the house is most likely to sell without being crazy about it.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. And then when you get them to that point, if they're still hemming and hawing, you need to start digging into motivation. Why, you know, I mean, why are you selling? What's important to you about it?
So, John, I had a question just to piggyback
Jose.
about price. So, do you even steer them towards the price or guide them? Like if you already did comps and you were saying that price property was 550, it was too high. I think you should be between, you know, 500 and 525. Do you even give a range, or you don't even want to even get close to that?
I don't even want to do that. And I'll give you a very real example. Okay. I've got one right now. Young couple came to me and said, you know, we want to sell the house. And I'm looking at all the numbers, and in my mind, I've got a value between 550 and 600 of the house. And they said, we want to start at 575. It's great. So we put it on. Same thing. What happens if the market says no? And then they told me the motivation for selling. I said, all right. Well, 2 weeks later, we got an offer. Significantly lower. I'd tell you what it is, but it's not closing for another 2 weeks. Significantly lower. And they took it because it solved their motivational challenge. It took all questions off the table and allowed them to be able to accomplish what they were trying to do in a much shorter timeline than expected.
Got it. So that's why you say that you never really, so your goal is never to care so much about price. It's really about motivation.
Motivation.
And getting them to sign, because as long as they sign, you know, at some point it's going to sell. If their motivation is strong enough, they're going to get to the place where they need to be, the market says.
Once they're motivated, they will move to commitment. I promise. Okay. Here's the thing. If I tell you that your house is worth between 700 and 750, and we put it on at 735 and we get an offer for 690, whose fault is it? It's mine. Okay. Going back to Sandra's at the very beginning. Awesome. Good job. Going back to Sandra's at the very beginning, she was called in by a property that's currently on the market. Guess what? I guarantee you that agent owns the price, because the seller is not going to call in another agent about taking over a listing contract if the seller gave them the price. I guarantee you the agent gave them the price and is not selling for that.
That makes sense. And I just curious, because I'm sure a lot of people were, but I've been in a situation where I usually do. So now I learned something new, because I usually do give a price, and I've been fortunate enough where I always price lower than what the market says. And in this market, we get that auction effect where we get a lot, and, you know, I look good because of it, but it's probably better to protect yourself. And I could lose listings because of that. You know, somebody might come in and say, oh, you could sell it for more, and they like that sound of that price, and they'll just go with that person.
Yep. So there's no reason for us to put pricing into something. Now there are segments of the market where you're going to do that, and I know Mark Benson is in that realm where you're going to have very specific pricing discussions around very elite types of property. It still comes down to motivation. Is that right, Mark?
Yes.
Oh, Mark Benson, not Mark Tilley, but since you guys are one on top of each other, I got the two Marks in the same place. Awesome. So yeah, Mark Benson, it always comes down to motivation, doesn't it?
It always does. Doesn't matter what the price range is.
Yep. Always motivation. All right, Kevin Dolan.
Hello. Just a question. That last example you gave.
Yeah.
Did you bring them to pain, or did you let them bring themselves to pain?
I didn't have to bring them to pain. They were vulnerable and shared a very deeply personal reason as to why they needed to sell the home. And
so they basically brought themselves to motivation.
They were 100% honest with why they needed to sell the house, and what their timeline was. It's like, okay, not a problem.
Well
and guess
done.
what? They made the decision on their own. I wanted to push back and suggested that we look at waiting a week or two. They said, no, we want to do this now. So, okay, done.
So no fingerprints. Well done,
It's
Maestro.
not, guys, here's the thing. And Kevin, I'm glad you brought it up the way. This business is not about us. It's about our client. It's not about us being right about a price. It's about us making sure we are guiding a client to where they want and need to be. Make sense?
It does.
Awesome.
Makes a ton of sense.
Awesome. We
Hey,
got time
Mark,
for another one. Who's going to step
John,
up? It's
doesn't-
got to be the other Louise.
Can I ask a question, John?
Okay, Louise too.
Janet, your Zoom square is named me, so he's talking to you.
Oh, go. Hi. Hey, I love it. I'm Louise. Hey, so John, I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a listing, a sale, and a commercial property, all with the same people. They want to start with selling the commercial property, but when I look it up under the MLS, it doesn't show they own it. It doesn't show the property address. So where do I go and how do I handle that?
Tax records. Go to the
Oh, no,
property
tax
appraiser.
record. I just said that tax record does
No, you
not
said-
have
you
it.
said
I'm gonna have to
MLS.
go down to the title or to the title office.
So is it not showing the address or is it not showing the owner?
Not both. The address
Interesting.
is not there and the owner's not there. I'm gonna have to go down to the tax office, right?
Yeah, just ask him for the deed. Mark just typed it in there. Ask him for the
Okay.
deed.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at.
Yep, the deed will show you who owns it and it'll show you what the address is. So
It used to be owned by the church that's next door, and I think they sold the commercial property to him. Now he wants to sell it. Or he sold the property to him. I'm not sure whether it was residential or what it was, but I'm gonna find out.
all right, so that's a logistical thing. Do you have an objection that they have with this?
He wants the commercial property sold before he's gonna start work on what I did a walkthrough on the house. They asked me to go over
Okay.
and kind of look at it and tell them what they needed to do to get top dollar.
So Janet, tell me what's important about selling the commercial property before the residential property?
Because that's what he wants.
No, you are the seller.
Oh,
This is role play, so you are in role play now. So
okay.
So tell me about that. What's important about selling the commercial property first?
Well, I want to take the money and I want to buy another property so I can put in a restaurant, different, like 4 or 5 different, kind of like, what are they called? The commercial where they put
A little strip plaza.
that's the word. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to put in a script. Yeah.
Okay,
Strip.
awesome. So, a question: are you in a situation where you're going to be paying taxes on this transaction? Do you have a gain that you have to worry about?
That's a good question.
So ask your accountant, because you might want to consider what it would look like to do what's called a 1031. And the beauty of that is you don't have to worry about whether your personal property, your residence, is selling or isn't selling. You could do them concurrently if you needed to.
Okay. So go to your tax consultant and ask about a 1031.
Find out if he's got any capital gains to worry about, because just because he
Okay.
sells it, if he doesn't do it right, he's gonna be paying taxes. Now, first of all, if he's got a tax situation he doesn't know about, you're gonna look like a hero for suggesting it.
Okay.
And then the second question to ask him is, how is the sale of the commercial property related to your residential?
Okay.
What if your commercial one doesn't sell? He might need to sell the commercial one before the end of this year for tax reasons.
Uh-huh.
So you need to dig deeper into motivation. And when it comes to investment, motivation is often logical, not always, but often logical. Because
Okay.
it's purely a business decision in those cases.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. We got time for one more, guys. What do we got? Jose's got it. Good. Dana.
So I'm working or trying to work with an investor, and the short story is he just keeps insisting on putting out these really low ball offers. We're on a particular property, almost to the point of insulting, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for the fact that I knew the agent on the other side, you know, I think most agents, most sellers would have said, get lost. But
Okay.
I'm trying to impress upon, like, that's the conversation I need to have with him. Like, stop with these ridiculous offers.
Well, they're
If you're
ridiculous
serious
from one
about
point of
buying.
view. So perspective, they're ridiculous from
Well,
one
I
point of view,
understand.
right?
Right, from my point of view and
Right.
the seller's point of view, I would say.
Yeah. Now, they may not be ridiculous from the buyer's point of view. However, one question that I would ask is, what is the purchaser trying to accomplish? And any agent that says to
He's
get
trying
the
to
best price possible doesn't know what the buyer is trying to accomplish. Tell
Well,
me
this
what the
buyer wants
buyer's
to take the property. He wants to flip the property. He wants
Okay, great.
to renovate it and flip it.
Right. So what's the buyer's criteria for making a decision?
His goal is to make the most money with that flip after the money he has to put
Everybody's
into.
goal is to make the most money. However, every sophisticated investor is going to be able to answer the question, what is your expected rate of return when this is all said and done? What is your before repaired value? What is your expected repairs? What's your after repair value? What's your margin? If they can't answer that, then the agent that's working with that buyer is going to be throwing lowball offers out all day long and never get any of them to go together. Now, if you have those numbers, you can quickly come back and say, okay, this property fixed up is worth $400,000. Now, this buyer will only pay an after repaired value of 75%, which is $300,000, less his costs to fix it. Let's say the costs are $50,000. So that means that this property is worth $250,000 to this particular buyer. Now, once you can come to that, he might be offering $175,000, but you know that he's a true investor. He says it's worth $250,000 because that's what my numbers say. Your seller can make a decision if he's going to sell it for that or not. And that kind of eliminates all this back and forth crap that annoys everybody, because it does. You know, let's face it, if you're on the buying side and you're trying to steal a property, you're annoyed when you don't get a counter offer. And if you're a seller and somebody's trying to steal your property, you're annoyed and you're insulted. So when it comes to investors, cut to the chase, is what is their specific criteria that makes them say yes or no? And then I can tell you if the seller will entertain that or not.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
On a high level, anyway?
Can I jump in?
Yes.
Arne, 1 minute left. Wrap it up.
I work with a ton of investors, and every month I go through the market and look at all of the bought and sold investment properties and calculate the percentage of after repaired value. And I let all of my investors know up front, this is the lowest percentage of after repaired value that our market will tolerate. And if you don't want to come in there, we're writing a losing offer.
Okay. I think I have to educate myself more on the lingo and the kind of the formulas before I can speak intelligently to that. But I can see the logic, the value.
Yeah, our
Dana,
market is super tight right now.
I was gonna also say too, Dana, if you want to talk to my son, he's a wholesaler, and John knows how anal retentive he is. And anytime I come across a house that I won't list, he will do his numbers, and he's got a whole spreadsheet formula. It's over my head because I don't want to do that. I just call him and say, here's what I've got. And, like we're doing one right now that he's buying. I'm not taking a commission, but when we go to sell, I'm selling it. Now, keep in mind, I'm his mom. So if he shafts me, he's dead. So he's been doing this, and he's been doing really well with it as well too. Now, keep in mind, we're in Houston. So, I don't know what market you guys are in, but, if you want, I'll be happy to send you his information and get y'all connected. Just if you want to pop your number in there, I can get y'all.
I just did.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, Senator, go ahead and
So much
do whatever
sense.
you guys got to do and wrap up your chats because I got to get going. I'm late for another call. This was awesome. Look forward to seeing everybody on Monday. And I don't know where Cameron is, but I'm sure he's going to come up with something that is important about September 18th because that is what Monday is. And we'll see you guys Monday morning, 9:30 at Recon. Have a great weekend, everyone.
See you later.
Bye, y'all.